Good evening. There will be a very short reading of something written by our Guru, the founder of this ashram, Shri Brahmananda Sarasvati. It's titled Supersonic and Ultrasonic Music. It was written in 1986. It's just a small excerpt. And it starts by a general description of what language is. So, language and supersonic music will go together. It's all under one roof. The inner nadam, sound energy and sound current. As electricity runs in a circuit, so also sound energy follows a circuit. There are many forms of energy, but the main forms of energy are sound energy, light energy, and the energy of electricity. We live in the world of language. Do you know what that language is? Language is a form of sound energy. We have many ways of communication and expression, but language or sound energy is the chief means of our expression and communication. What is language? Language is a combination of words in sentences which have a subject and a verb or predicate. The whole mansion of language consists of 8 parts, which are called the parts of speech. They are nouns, pronouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, and interjections. These make up the comprehensive sentence. What is the word? The word is the mother of all 8 parts of speech, which are the building blocks of language. The word is a combination of letters of the alphabet. And what is the letter? The letter is the product and vibration of sound energy. Therefore, every language is the product of sound vibration produced when you breathe out. We're talking about language using the vocal organ. We know there is sign language, but here the description is about speaking. Every language is the product of sound vibration produced when you breathe out. Without breathing out, you cannot pronounce any word. Try to breathe in and say something at the same time. Better don't try. You cannot do that. But when you breathe out, then the air of your lungs, directed by the brain center and mind, can pass through the larynx. Therefore, every letter is the vibration of atoms and molecules which were in your lungs in the form of air, in quality and quantity. In short, the letters of the alphabet are the product of energy, qualitatively and quantitatively. All words are combinations of letters, and the sentence is a combination of various types of words, which makes comprehensive sense through the subject, the verb, and so on, in the process of expression and communication of our thoughts. I could continue, or we could continue something. Every letter and word also has a mental image and a physical image. You cannot think anything without an image. And sound energy has 4 forms, and they will be in Sanskrit. We don't need to linger there. Just it is para, pashyanti, madhyama, and vaikari. And another name for the sound current or sound energy is nada. Anahata nada, nada and nadam, they're all the same thing. It is an expression of the Absolute. It is the ocean of vibration, the vibration of atoms and molecules, again, of the whole universe. This nada was present before creation. When the created universe did not exist, then the universe of energy was vibrating in the form of nada, divine music. It is also called the music of the spheres. Imagine if the whole universe of the senses were to disappear, then what would remain? If you're not talking on the telephone, then what remains? The answer is the music or vibration of energy, or the dial tone. I still have a landline. I have both cell and landline, and it has a dial tone. I had to check it because nowadays it seems less happening, right? Dial tone. But if anybody has a landline, dial tone is there. So when you ascend into the higher state, then you are in the omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent consciousness, absolute I am, through the nadam I left out, so it's just excerpts. So the nadam, we know, is audible to the inner senses when your mind is very attentive. Couple more minutes of some reading by our Guru. Also, this is from 1989. It doesn't matter much, but it is written then. Different theme, different aspect of the Sanskrit language. One thing is common in the past, present, and future, throughout the planet. Wherever there's war in any form, the cause behind it is the untrained and undisciplined mind and heart. In that condition, what can be done? What is our duty and responsibility? You cannot change the human mind, but you can change its contents. Here by change, I mean transformation of the mind through Sanskrit. Because Sanskrit is the cosmic language, the language of unity. We need a divine language to unite our hearts and minds for world peace. Due to modern scientific inventions and discoveries, the whole planet has become like one house. But our minds are still primitive and disunited. The thinking mind is the automatic problem-making machine. Every problem originates from within. Countless subtle problems lie deeply rooted in the unconscious mind. Therefore, we need to raise the contents of our hearts and minds from lower to higher, to spiritual plane, through Sanskrit. Sanskrit is the way toward perfection. Last sentence. Chanting Sanskrit, listening to authentic Sanskrit chanting with a quiet, meditative mind, and studying Sanskrit grammar, they all stimulate automatic and spontaneous psychoanalysis, psychosynthesis, and psychotherapy. Therefore, in addition to modern languages, we need Sanskrit, the language of the heart and of unity. Thank you for your attention, and let's have a moment of silence. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om.
No, it's muted, that one. I muted.
Good evening. My name is Satya Narayana Charka. I am the director of East West School of Dance. For the last 40 years, more than 40 years, I am here in the ashram with the blessings of Guruji. When I came in 1981, it was one of the big challenging that Guruji, as you know, part of the Sanskrit. So he initiated me to produce in Sanskrit play, Shakuntalam. Shakuntalam is a very classic production, which is Kalidasa's one of the great classic production. It was originally as a play, but we are the first time producing as a dance drama. So we compiled Guruji's blessings, all the scripts originally taken from Kalidasa's original writings, and we composed the music in India, and we brought it and we produced in 1990s. It was a very popular production, and like we are doing nowadays in Ramayana, Krishna Lila. Those days, Shakuntalam was the very classically produced, and it performed near and far. Many states also we performed, and especially in the universities also. So we are bringing back. I had a great feeling when I heard the Sanskrit workshop is going at the ashram from last year. I was completely came back to that production. I think it is the good occasion, good thing to bring out Guruji's vision. So that's why I think I'm glad that I got this chance. Shantananji, Indiraji, they part of this workshop, they introduced today's evening. So this Sanskrit play is in 9 scenes we produced it, the 1.5 hour production. And at the ashram also we presented, but also we presented many places. It was very well-known production. It was 1993. We presented in Queen's Theatre in Queens. The 3 shows we presented continuously. And then we filmed in New York City, one of the prestigious downtown theater. We produced and filmed it. And in 1999, we brought the Shakuntalam production as a DVD production. So it was quite popular those days, and it was very classic, and I don't know why it was one way or other. We just dropped the continuity of it because I was focusing Ramayana, Krishna Lila. Those productions are very, very popular. So I think it is nice to introduce today's evening. From the 9 scenes of the Shakuntalam, I have taken the last scene, which is the Bharata's. Title is the Bharata scene. The Shakuntalam is a very well-known story. You are going to listen about the details about the Shakuntalam story, and it's important up in Sanskrit. So the Bharata one, why I selected today is Shakuntala's Dushanta's son, Bharata, was the child. He was brought up in the ashram. He was very powerful as a king's son and Shakuntala's son. So he was practically playing with the lions and very dynamic way. He learned the archery. Shakuntal and Guru and initiated him in very divine, spiritual and as well as the political also, because he's the son of the king. So it happened, the king coming there and meeting, and then you will know the details about it. So Bharata, India is called Bharat. Because of that great king, India's name became a Bharat. So that you can understand how powerful that name came, and India is still known as a Bharat. So I would like to introduce Professor Deven Patel ji here. I am so happy that many years we are associated. Whenever I had a chance, I was consulting with him, and even Shakuntala time, he was very, very kind to help us to produce this production. I think it's the best, and I am very, very happy that he is here. So I would like him to come and introduce the essence of the Sanskrit and Shakuntalam and this production. And then we'll going to present the last scene on the screen. You are going to see about 15-20 minutes of the whole sequence, and you will enjoy. Thank you very much for listening to me. Please.
And you will also dance, no? You will also show.
Yes, I am going to, when on the shloka about the importance of Bharata, when Devenji is going to say, I wanted him to say the shloka word and as well as English word, so that you can understand. I can just do some poses. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. I want to make sure that you say that.
Thank you. Yeah, I give this one to you.
Yes, you can turn this off. Oh, that's okay. Okay, you can give it now. You've given me so much. I'm going to try to be very brief. Is Bharati ji still here? No, you will not be part of it. I wanted to make sure that you were here because you spoke about 2 very important things that can help us to transition from the beautiful reading you did. One was about war. This story of Shakuntala actually is different from the one that we will be seeing. The original story is from a book about war. It's called the Mahabharata. And there, The power of Sanskrit is to teach dharma by showing how at every moment it's broken. The whole epic is violent, cruel, many parts of it, except for the Bhagavad Gita is there as well. But it's set in a time of great cruelty and violence and showing what happens if things don't go the way they ought to go. And the Shakuntala story is embedded in this epic. When the 5 brothers and their wife and their mother are banished or exiled, they go into exile, Yudhishthira, the great king, is depressed. He says, has anybody ever had it worse than me? You know, I've lost my kingdom. Lost everything. And Brihadashva, one of these sages in the forest, tells him 5 stories. He tells him the story of Rama, which is about loss, exile, recovery, pain, and transcendence of pain. Savitri, the great story of the devoted wife who went to challenge the god of death to recover her husband. Again, loss, recovery. The story of Nala and Damayanti, the great story, the great love story of ancient India, about, again, loss, exile, recovery. Harishchandra, another great story about the great king who's honest. Same themes. And then Shakuntala, the story of Shakuntala. And that story in the Mahabharata is very simple. It's about abandonment, single motherhood, anger. Same themes we see on many of the TV shows. You remember those shows? They were popular in the 1990s of, abandoned mothers and fatherhood and paternity tests. Maury Povich, nobody remembers this stuff. This is real life, and this is what the Mahabharata Shakuntala story is about. A king has a tryst with a woman in the forest who he meets. This is Shakuntala's story. She has child. He abandons her. Says that he won't. She goes to tell him that this child is his. This boy is his. He rejects her and says that she's just trying to, he just denies it all. And then she curses him out in a very cruel way. He curses her out in a very cruel way. Then a divine voice and says, "This is your child." He says, "All right." And he takes her back, and there's recovery of some sort. But it's very dark. The epic is very dark. So that's one aspect of demonstrating that the language can show that. But what Kalidasa does, and this is what art and theater, and especially Sanskrit at its most highest refined level, it rehabilitates, it takes the story. Many of you might be familiar with this idea from the Greek traditions, right, where you take these dark stories from the myths, and the poets, the playwrights, they rework them. So Kalidasa does this. And Kalidasa's work is not only about these themes undergird it, but it's about characters who forget, who are caught in forgetfulness. And memory is the major theme of this play, where the king has forgotten Shakuntala, honestly. He doesn't actually abandon her. She, on the other hand, has committed something, done something which she's not even aware of, that has caused this chain of events to unfold. So both of them are shown to be innocent on some level, caught up in the way the world is. And there's a way that Kalidasa opens up a space to allow for them to grow in their own direction. And in that way, Shakuntala has to mature, and Dushyanta has to become less cynical. And there's a kind of a movement in both of these directions of this play. It's a beautiful play. In that way, it's emotional, romantic, but also transformative about the nature of things. It's too deep to speak of it in such simple ways, so encourage you to watch this thing, read it. And that was one aspect of it. And the story that we're going to go is that, of course, the boy, Bharata, then actually is in the lineage of the Bharatas. That's where the Mahabharata itself comes from. The name Mahabharata is because Bharata was in the lineage of these ancient kings that Shakuntala and Dushyanta fathered and mothered. And this boy, the story about the descendants of Bharata become the Bharata. And the Mahabharata means the great story of those people. So there is that connection also. So that was one thing that I just wanted to mention. And the other thing that I found to be very important from what was read, and that is significant, I think, for our purposes, is that the work, I can't remember anymore. I know I had something else to say about this, but let me just tie this up so we can actually watch the performance. So the particular, the story as it unfolds keeps the same basic ideas about recovery and loss and forgiveness and transformation, but it does it in a way where it's not just on the surface, right? Many of the Mahabharata stories are about actually recovering a kingdom, actually defeating enemies or returning things to some normal. But the Kalidasa play is actually, even though the result is there, what's really important is the transformation of the person. Each of these people are transformed in deep, deep ways. And that's the emphasis. And I think that's why it's a wonderful play. You know, it's not just about plot. The plot you can follow and it's great. But the actual, this is the other thing I wanted to say, that language, what is language was the question posed by the reading. And if it's not just simply a communicative instrument, it is that, but it takes many forms. And so I think what will be beautiful is watching the language of gesture, because in some level, that's also the roots of our spoken language. The sound is actually also rooted in gesture. You know, and the origins we go back to the origins of language, you had to communicate sometimes quietly. If you were out in dangerous situations, if you spoke, you could be vulnerable to animals and any kind of dangerous thing. So you had to also learn how to speak through eyes and speak through fingers and speak through movements. And so I think if we can hear that language of sound and gesture and waves also in the performance, I think it'll be wonderful. So that's the other thing I wanted to say, which I think is significant to hear this. So this scene now we'll watch is the end when the boy, Shakuntala takes the boy up to the king, and there's a revelation and finally the reunion of sorts. And we'll do one verse from that. Sure. One is good. It is, yes. Okay, so this is a verse from. This is a verse that Kalidasa introduces when the boy is observed by the king. He doesn't know it's his boy. He just looks at him and says, "It's a strange boy. He's doing strange things." And then there's a kind of a glimmer of a recovery of a memory that maybe this is somebody that I should know. It's quite beautiful. It's in the Shikarini meter, for those of you who are counting meters. Sorry. I'll recite the thing first, and then we can go word. Fine. Rathena nudhatta stimita gatina tirna jaladhi pura sapta dvipam jayati vasudham apratiratha ihayang sattvanam prasabadamanat sarvadamana punarayasyatyakyam bharata iti lokasya bharanat. So here's the translation that I had written, and then we'll do word by word. This is the king speaking.
Say the word, just explain it.
Yes, but first I'll do the whole translation of the verse, so then we will go word by word, and you can also then demonstrate, but I'll explain the words. So after crossing the ocean in a steady and smooth moving chariot, this is the father who doesn't know he's the father, observing his son. After crossing the ocean in a steady and smooth moving chariot, he conquers the entire world with its 7 continents, and no one resists him. Here he is called Sarvadamana. Literally, it means the one who tames everything, because he forcefully tames animals. However, because he supports the world, he goes by the name of Bharata. The idea here is that he sees his boy playing with a little tiger. He's like, this is odd. This boy is playing with his tiger like it's a little cat. He must be this powerful person. And this is what the observation that's made. So the words that I think are important, that just a few of the words will demonstrate is, do you have that paper? Yes. Some of the words from this verse. Sapta Dvipam, the 7 continents. Jayati, will conquer. The earth, Vasudham. Apratirathaha, he's unmatched. He has no enemies. Sattvanam, in this case the lion, creatures. Forcefully. Sarvadamanat, it's the word that he does it all. Iha, ayam, here he is, Bharata. Punar yasyati, he comes, this is how he got the name. That he is the lokasya of the world, the one who upholds it, carries it, protects it, Bharanat. Thus you get the word Bharata, because he protects and carries the world.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. Thank you.
In sage Kashyap's ashram, Shakuntala has given birth to a son, Bharata. Years pass, and one day, King Dushyanta happens to visit the ashram. He is charmed when he sees the young boy playing fearlessly with a lion. Shakuntala arrives. In sage Kashyap's ashram, Shakuntala has given birth to a son, Bharata. Years pass, and one day, King Dushyanta happens to visit the ashram. He is charmed when he sees the young boy playing fearlessly with a lion. Shakuntala arrives to fetch her son, and it is then that the king realizes that he is the boy's father. Scene 7, Bharata.
अलम अलम आत्मापराध शंक्या अहं ध्यानात् अवगतोऽस्मि दुर्वाससः शापः एव अस्य कारणम्। सप्तद्वीपाञ्जयति वसुधाम् अप्रतिरतः सत्त्वानां प्रसवदमनात् सर्वदमनः अयं पुनर्यास्यति आङ्ख्यां भरत इति लोकस्य भरणात् भरत इति लोकस्य भरणात् भरत इति लोकस्य भरणात्।
Finally, Kalidasa's epic drama comes to a close with a great ceremony in honor of young Bharata, who will be the Yuvaraja, the crown prince. Shri Brahmananda Sarasvati, who originally inspired this production of Shakuntala, has stated that each and every one of us is in the hands of destiny. And he reminded us that we must not fight with destiny. We must cooperate. When we become too involved in our worldly and material life, neglecting our inner spiritual life, then like Shakuntala, who being distracted neglects the sage Durvasa, we also find we are seemingly forgotten and abandoned by the forces of nature. We must remain secure in our conviction that at the end of our journey we shall indeed be triumphant.